So in this video, we're going to be installing openSUSE Tumbleweed with KDE onto my Raspberry Pi 4. And I should probably plug in my SD card. The SD card I'm using is a 256 gigabyte SanDisk Extreme. It's like red and gold. It'll do the job for this. So we're going to be installing openSUSE Tumbleweed, and after that's installed and set up and everything, I'm going to install, or provision rather, Pihole. And that's all going to happen automatically. I think that you guys are going to like it. This isn't like a tutorial or how-to. I'm just going to be doing this anyway, and I thought that you guys might want to watch. So since openSUSE is not like packaged as part of the Raspberry Pi Imager, which this is from FlatHub. So just go to FlatHub and install the Raspberry Pi Imager and you can get this tool. Another option is to open a terminal and use, DD, to extract everything from the archive file onto the thing. But we're going to use Raspberry Pi Imager. And I have a few different, they're not actually ISOs. These two are ISOs, and even though it's AR64, this will not work. It has to be for the Raspberry Pi, and it's usually a .raw or .exe file. So that's what we're going to be using. It's 1.5 gigs. And the process goes pretty fast. It's going to install it and then verify it. All right, now it's verifying. And while it's doing that, I wanted to show you if I could, whoa, I know how to type, I swear. Let's just call it, oh my goodness, disks, geez. I usually use this tool to restore ISOs and things like that to USB, but since this is a Raspberry Pi image, it's that .xv file, you can't do that here. But normally what I would do is select the device I want to restore and then restore disk image. And this works with ISOs or actual like backup images of hard drives. I've used it before and it works super well. It just doesn't work with the raw files. It's actually the raw file isn't even showing up here. So that's why I used the Imager program, and it's just about done. And write successful, we're all done. So I'm gonna try a kind of clever cut. All right, we're at the no video screen, turn on the Pi, and we should see the bootloader in just a second here. And there it is, you can see U-boot, the little logo at the top right, and here's the openSUSE bootloader. So unlike a regular install of openSUSE or any distro, this is just like, it's already installed, there's already a user setup and everything, so we're just gonna drop right on in. Unfortunately, this part takes a really, really long time for me, so I'll just cut it out and we'll jump straight to the beginning of the login process, because it still has to like bootstrap and do everything in the background. But from the user's perspective, it's just gonna sit here and hang for probably like 5 minutes until it finally fully boots up. So I'll just cut past all of this. All right, seeing the mouse cursor is a good sign. I can move it around, but we're still booting up. And here's a login screen. So for openSUSE, the first boot is root, followed by Linux for the password. And of course, you change that once we get in there. Well, it helps if you spell Linux right. Let's try that again. We get the rather lethargic load screen. I think this is from KDE, but it's cool that it shows the openSUSE stuff. And it looks like we're just hanging here. And we're in. We just got desktop icons, but there was a pop-up down here that said that I didn't have internet, which is weird because we're wired. So maybe that's an issue that will work itself out. So the first thing that we'll do is update the user situation. So because this is openSUSE, I'm going to do this through YAST. And I know that I could do it probably faster through the terminal, but you know, I like using GUIs sometimes, and I feel like doing it, and it'll make for an interesting video because I know that not everybody has seen the power of YAST. So when we get into users, there's nothing here, even though there's like a root user, it just doesn't show that. But before we create our EGIO user, I'm going to create the sudo group so that we can do sudo-y stuff. So there's nothing really to do except to add the sudo group. That way, when we create our user, we can add them to the sudo group and get all of our sudo business right out of the box. I forgot to add them to the group itself. There's our group. Hit OK and persist it. So it says we have 64 new updates, but our internet connectivity is limited for some reason. Let's open a terminal and find out if that's true, or if it's just like maybe it did a check before the system was up, so it thinks that there's no internet when there actually is. That sounds like something that could happen, right? So let's do zipper refresh and see what it does. Zipper should know. It says all the repos have been refreshed. Let's do a zipper dup. I'm not gonna like actually run this. I want to see if it actually, yeah, it seems to work. I don't know. That I'm gonna guess that that notification just fired before all of the network stuff was popped up. But before we do that, let me check and see. I think it's using Network Manager, but by default, openSUSE likes to use Wicked, and I actually like Wicked. I think I like Wicked more than Network Manager. I like being able to manage all of my internet like network connections through this instead of this like janky little applet. So it is using Network Manager by default, and Wicked's not even there. This must just be a Raspberry Pi thing. If there's any openSUSE people watching, I'd love to know kind of more about this. So one thing I would like to do is actually disable my Wi-Fi completely. And this doesn't seem to work. Like this works for the user session, but when I restart and log in as my other user, the Wi-Fi will be back on, and I don't want it to be on at all. And I actually don't know, with Network Manager without a terminal, I don't know how to turn it off. So if somebody knows, please let me know. But in the meantime, let's do a restart and log in with our new user. And we're back at the login, and the default user is now Egee. So let's go ahead and log in. Okay, it's been a few minutes over here, and now we can actually start using the machine. There's a couple things that I do to the Pi and to KDE. I should probably mention why I'm using KDE here. I don't use KDE on my own system, like my workstation, because I'll probably make another video for why I don't use it on my main station. But I use it on my Pis and my servers and things like, not that I have a bunch of Pis, but like, you know what I'm saying. I use it there because when you tune KDE, it can be incredibly lightweight and really, really functional, but still have the 21st century kind of like modernisms that a good desktop should have. And what I mean by that is that you can get like lighter weight desktops and things, but they're missing a lot of the niceties that I think that people come to expect with desktops. And sometimes I want those. So instead of, installing like an old, but bare bones desktops aren't necessarily old, but they're bare bones, and I don't always want that. So I feel like with KDE, you kind of get the best of both worlds. This is KDE 5.25.3. We're running Tumbleweed. So this is a modern desktop running X11, I should have mentioned. But it's a modern desktop that is super stripped down and just kind of sits there and runs. It doesn't have daemons in the background. I mean, it kind of does. It doesn't have like rogue processes that run in the background and do random things like indexing. Not Discord, Discover. Does it not have Discover? Oh, it doesn't. Well, then what's this then? This little applet? Is this a separate applet? Something that's kind of annoying is that I'm using a touchpad here, if you can't tell. And there's mouse acceleration that, like, if I move my finger a little bit, it shoots really far and then it slows down. But I was going to use Discover, but I guess this applet's fine too. So we'll run updates. And then I will install a couple applications, and I'll show you what everything looks like when Pihole is installed. All right, now that the updates are done, we're going to switch over to root and install the most important package. And that is Salt, specifically Salt Minion. And it's interesting to note that the Salt bootstrap script does not work on Tumbleweed because it doesn't seem to register Tumbleweed as a distro, or at least like a distro it can work with. But you can get Salt straight from the repos, and it works just fine. Apparently, openSUSE, SUSE Enterprise, has an enterprise offering that uses Salt. That was a pretty cool thing to find. but it's a first-class citizen in openSUSE, so we'll just use it that way. All right, Salt is installed. Now we have to point the minion to our master. Oh, we don't have Nano. I always forget that openSUSE prefers text editors like Vi and Vim, but here we're going to update the master from Salt to Egee core, and then we'll restart the daemon by enabling it now. And then we can plug in here and see what the minion says. It's going to say it can't reach the master. So I'll hop over to the master and accept the key, which you guys can't see, but that's okay. It'll just kind of... Oh, I forgot to update the minion name. Hold on, let's do that first. All right, we've updated the minion name to Egee RP4 or RPI4, Raspberry Pi 4, whatever. Now, when we go to the master and accept the key, we should see the minion start to do things. All right, I forgot that the minion ID is not in the top file, so nothing matched. I'm gonna have to run salt call and run a state apply myself. And this is just gonna run like a bootstrap. It's gonna set the machine up. I think that, well, it definitely will print out some sensitive stuff. So this state apply, normally it would just take a couple seconds, but because this is a Raspberry Pi and these are painfully slow sometimes, it's going to take a few minutes. So I'll just fast forward again and we'll jump to the part where we're actually installing stuff. Not that there's anything to see. This is the magic, basically. It sits here and doesn't show anything, and then at the end it prints this little report that says everything is done. And there we go, 18 succeeded with 8 changed, Netdata, and if I scroll up, there'll probably be some sensitive stuff. So now that we've done a bootstrap, just like a regular apply, we're gonna do Pihole, and I'll skip ahead so you can see what that state looks like. I figure since Netdata is included as part of the base bootstrap Highstate, that we might as well take a look at it and see what it's doing, but as you can see, there's not a lot happening. It looks like the Raspberry Pi is so puny that it can't even display the graphs or anything. Now granted, there is a state apply happening in the background. Oh, it failed. And it couldn't get the Docker version. That is, I think I know what the problem, but it should have installed that though. It's Python Docker is the package that is missing. But if it has that, oh, it didn't find it at all. Is it Python 3 Docker? Or is it Python 3.10? Ah, it's Python 3.10, okay. So that is an update I'll have to make to the SLS file. It's surprising that the bootstrap state itself passed because it tries to install this and it said that everything succeeded, and clearly it didn't. So I'll have to dig deeper and find out what the heck that was about. But now the state should actually apply correctly. And it failed again with another Docker issue. Oh, now it's saying Docker itself wasn't found, but it set up the cron job. Boy, these states are all kinds of screwed up. Docker is not installed. Interesting. So let's do a little something different. Let's call the actual state that is supposed to install it. So we'll do state SLS ID, and then the name of the state, which is, or the name of the ID, which is install Docker packages, and that is in the Docker state. So let's see what it has to say about this. There we go. That time it actually installed it, though I don't know why it didn't install it when I specifically told it to. Actually, hold on. It is running, right? Is it, well, I guess we don't need sudo, huh? Is it actually like not running? Oh, and it's worth pointing out that I would normally use Podman instead of Docker, but unfortunately Salt does not support Podman. And I think that there is a Salt formula or like a user-made sort of thing that supports it, but I don't want to mess with that. We're just going to use Docker until it's officially supported. So now that we have Docker installed and we have the correct Python package installed, we can actually install Pihole. I wasn't expecting to have to do like developer-y sort of like Salt debugging here, but I guess it's interesting. So hopefully the state apply will work this time. Hey, it worked. Look at that. So let's see if we can go to localhost. I think it runs on port 80. So don't we just have to do admin? And there it is. Yeah, look at that. So we just installed this. This was not here. Maybe I should have gone to localhost admin before the apply. That way you could see that there's nothing here. Not that anybody would think that I'm trying to do something weird, but it's really that easy. So since we're already living dangerously, let's do 8080. No, 8080. 8080. Nothing there, and let's install Nextcloud. How's that? So while this is open, I guess let's pop open and take a look. Pop open a new terminal and do sudo docker ps. And I guess well, what's up there? Are there secrets up there? Yeah, there's probably going to be secrets up there. I could tell the salt output to not print a bunch of stuff, but I'm lazy. We're just doing it. Boy, this is kind of ugly, isn't it? Anyways, you can see that there's a container running. There's nothing secret in the output here, so it's just a Pihole container that is running all of the standard ports. I was considering showing how to plug into Pihole in this video, but I always underestimate how much work it is to do videos with the Raspberry Pi because it is so slow. So I've had to edit a lot for this video, just like edit out dead space. So I don't have a feel for how long this video is going to be. So I think I'm going to show you on another video how to plug one computer, like your local computer, into a Pihole, and also how to plug your whole network into a Pihole, because that was a process that I had to learn myself, and I wasn't super impressed with any of the videos that show how to do it. So not like I'm going to make a better video, but hey, why not make one? Yeah, it looks like Nextcloud or what is this? Is it Nextcloud? This is Netdata. It looks like this doesn't work at all. So I don't think that this is a Raspberry Pi thing. I don't know what is going, like, are there like web errors that, I don't know what's going on here. I'm surprised that it doesn't work at all. Like, usually something is running. Maybe the daemon isn't running. What if it's that easy? There you go. We'll enable the daemon. And I would be surprised if that was the issue, but I think that the web portion of Netdata is different than the collector. So it's possible that if the data's not running, it'll render a page, but show no data. Maybe we're still loading. Come on. No, this is it. It doesn't seem to work. Yeah. Okay. So, well, if Netdata doesn't work at all, I guess we'll just disable the daemon and not have it running and taking up resources. So Netdata or Nextcloud, I keep getting them confused. Nextcloud, the state for it is still running. So, oh, it just got finished. How about that? Or it just finished. So we'll refresh. Still nothing though. Is it HTTPS? I don't think so. I guess it could be. Oh, it is. Oh, there's nothing there. So it didn't like that. It is HTTP, isn't it? There's no SSL going on here. Yeah, here it is. Boom, create an admin account. So while this is running, I think this is where we're gonna wrap it up. Oh, we don't even have btop. Let's install btop and I will init Nextcloud. All right, so that's btop. We'll fire it up and make this full screen so we can see it in the background. I like to turn down the millisecond refresh. It's at 2 seconds by default. I turn it down to just under 1 second. And before I kick off Nextcloud, I'm going to make a few last changes. I changed the lower graph so you can see it changing in the back. I need to do a video on BTOP. Whoops, what happened? I need to show you guys how I use this, because this is one of my favorite tools. I use it all the time. It's not really a replacement for HTOP. It's more like, it's almost like a profiler. It's like a profiler light. And sometimes that's exactly what I need. So we'll do Egee, make the password Linux 1234. Sure. All right, and now it's going to spin this up, and then it'll present a page that asks if you want to install a bunch of additional stuff like calendar, contacts, and things like that. And I'm interested to see what this machine is doing, because I really can't wrap my head around why this is so flippin' slow. So it's not bottlenecking on I/O. That's what I/O wait would be if the system is waiting for data transfer, like to the disk, to the SD card. It would have to sit and wait, and it would show up as I/O wait, and that's not what's happening here. So, and it's still loading, so that should just be the CPU doing everything, and it's not running at 100%. So, yeah, you got me. Raspberry Pis are interesting, but they don't make for great video content because they're so flippin' slow. But that's going to wrap this video up. I hope that you liked it. It's a little whimsical like the last video that I did, but these videos are fun and easy to make, and you guys seem to like it. So this might just become kind of my new style from here on out. Hope that you liked the video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. I appreciate all your support. And there we go. Thanks for watching, everyone.